Hello there again, everybody. So these next few videos are going to be a little bit different in that they will not be streamed. I'm going to be inactive for about a week and a half, give or take, because I'm going to go on a mini vacation back home now that all the vaccinations are kicking in and that my degree is finished. So I'm going to be taking a little step away from where I've been at school. So I'm going to be trying to record a few videos all today, and then I'll space them out in terms of uploading for the YouTube channel, so that way each video gets its little time to shine, while not having to post them all back to back. So again, not recording it because I'm really trying to record a bunch today, because like I said, I've only got today to record hopefully 3-ish videos, which will be about 15 matches ideally. We'll see if I actually get to get that done. And then periodically they'll be spaced out and they'll get uploaded to the YouTube channel. So I'm gonna do a speed run, but also not a speed run. I'm still gonna take my time making all the correct decisions or what I feel is correct at the time. But I'm gonna do less deck teching. But as I say this, of course, I keep babbling on and on. So let's just quick jump right into the deck tech. The metagame breakdown. I guess the one thing I do want to say is, surprisingly, Blitz has overtaken Heliod Company as the most represented deck, which is pretty cool. Blitz has been in a solid second place for a good while, only ever behind Heliod Company, and they've flipped, so that's kind of interesting to see. And then here's the rest of the top 15. Go away, Tron, we don't want to see you here. Alright, so let's get rid of that, and let's just get right into the queue, because like I said, I'm gonna try to do this relatively quickly. I'll still probably make these videos in increments of 5 matches, I hope. So let me jump into the queue over here. Oh, for whatever reason, I got logged out of my Manatraders, and like, why can't I join? They logged me out for whatever reason. Alright, so now we'll try to queue. Come on, why is it taking so long? Play. Okay. We are joining the match, Modern Tournament Practice. We've got Jund Current already selected, and we are joining Dramizzi. So yeah, I'm hoping my not streaming this means that I'll be able to move a little bit faster. Alright, so we're still playing Bone Crusher Jund, obviously. Combined 18-2 with this list so far, so we're hoping to keep up the stellar record. This hand is a perfectly acceptable hand, especially given we're playing against Dolores. Heavy removal tends to be fine. We're gonna hopefully not have to worry about finding a threat for too long. Bone Crusher increasing the density while keeping the interaction high is certainly nice. It looks like we're playing against Hammer Time, so that should make this hand very, very good. Gonna try to keep the board empty, so that way Liliana can Edict perhaps the last thing. And they've got the gift as well. Yep, okay. So pretty scary start, but I mean this hand I think can probably handle what the opponent's got going pretty well. Interesting, they got a shield. So it says pay 0 to play it, equip creature plus 0/+3 in vigilance, equip for 3. Interesting. So I guess this is a way to potentially play around various lightning bolt effects, which we are heavy on right now. Cooldown's command is going to be pretty excellent in this matchup, I believe. Alright, let's go ahead and pass it back. I don't see a reason to bolt something now, because if they're going to kind of combo me out here, they'll just put it on the other thing anyway. So if they play something like the flash enabler and have a hammer, that could be potentially hazardous. This will resolve, and then I'm going to try to bolt that as opposed to something else. This having equip 0 is kind of problematic, but we can just bolt this now, take off Metalcraft. This is still sorcery speed. And then we can Bolt the Pure Steel Paladin, which should make it pretty hard to continue to attempt to equip. We're just looking for more one-man interaction here. For sure killing this Pure Steel Paladin, though. I could wait until the opponent plays another artifact, but I see no reason to wait, really. Hi, I'm recording currently, but not streaming. I'll call you back later. Alright, so they played Drum, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to get Liliana Edict onto an empty board and have some pretty excellent leftovers. Let's get an Overgrown Tomb. We have a much higher black requirement than red requirement. More lands, obviously not what we're wanting to see, but we're feeling pretty good having this Liliana. They've got 2 resources remaining. Interested to know what this is. Okay, sure. That's fine and all. I could just plus here to start going at the opponent's hand, but edicts aren't getting much better than edicting onto an empty board. If they have a way to give this any amount of power, the Liliana gets attacked, and I don't want that happening. So we were really needing to find a threat here. Kolaghan's Command should do a pretty decent job at fending off whatever is in the near future. But again, we're going to need to actually find some action, in which we have yet to do. Hammer is dangerous, but they don't have a way to equip that yet. I guess playing it out just a way to prevent us from it being susceptible to discard, maybe. Another hammer, interesting. Alright, and obviously we've got Liliana as well, so it's going to help defend versus that. But they're drawing a card here, which we're just going to get to hit with a Liliana. Inquisition, not great. Liliana hits it anyway. That said, I think I still will ditch just probably Blood Crypt. Get my Ravine down. Ravine is a threat, albeit one of the slower ones. And they found another bauble. If they put Lurrus into hand, Liliana just eats it. So feeling pretty in control at this stage. Ooh, Paladin is a dangerous one. They can now auto-equip. I'm thinking I should probably just kill this in response. What would other mode be? I guess I'm just going to shatter something. And then I'll shatter a hammer, because if I do find other Kolaghan's Command, I can reshatter. So we'll say destroy an artifact, 2 to a target. Choose an artifact, this one, 2 to a target, this one. I could kill the shield just because it's a more unique effect. But this feels good as well. Ooh, Croxa. That's really the clock that we were looking for, and I can even get it into play now by plussing and discarding it. I could cast Inquisition such that I get to keep something in my yard. I actually don't think I want to do that, because there may be a world where I want to eat 2 cards out of my opponent's hand. Like if they put Lurrus into their hand and draw a card, I'm going to want to Inquisition the Lurrus and get their last card with the Liliana plus. So I think this is probably fine. Like the only reason to leave a land in my yard would be a Wrenn and 6, which doesn't seem super relevant at this stage. Yawgmoth is dangerous, but should be fine. Again, they could put Lurrus into their hand, but it doesn't really do anything. Swamp, not what we're wanting to see. Let's lead on an attack, which is for effectively 9. They're on a 1-turn clock. I should have activated the Ravine there, because then they're forced to block. So that was a bit of a brain fart. Like I said, I am moving a little quickly. I'll try to play tighter. But I don't think there's any one thing that kills us here. Like they can activate Yawgmoth, but they don't have a way to equip. So we should just be good. But yeah, I definitely should have activated the Ravine, because that forces a chump. Alright, so Hammer time. A pretty excellent matchup. For sure bringing in Push. This actually seems like a matchup where Ghost Quarter could be relevant, because it kills Yawgmoth. Cleansing Wildfire does a similar job. Ashiok is interesting. It can stop the various tutor effects, including the 1-mana search for a hammer card or things like Stoneforge. Engineer is also going to be good. Brutality is a bad kill spell, but there are a wide variety of instants and sorceries I don't mind hitting. Pillage obviously hits an artifact. So Ashiok is expensive. We'll put that in the maybe pile. I for sure like cutting some of the stuff off of the top. On the draw, I like shaving the Lilianas, although they may be one of our only good answers to thing like Auriok Champion. We've got Plague Engineer for maybe some of those. Ren and 6 seems good. All the 1-mana stuff seems great. Obviously not cutting Kolagon's command. I think I'm shaving another Bloodbraid off the top. We can shave a land because we're bringing in Ghost Quarter. Let's cut probably like a Blackleaf Cliffs. I want to keep all the fetchables, I think. On the draw, I'm going to think that Ashiok is probably just too slow. They can cast all their tutors before playing Ashiok. Ashiok also nice though because it helps versus the Lurrus plan, so maybe that's a consideration to bring in Nihil Spellbomb. I'm going to keep all my quick threats, which would be Tarmogoyf, so I think I'm cutting the Croxas because they're pretty slow. They were good the last time, but any threat would have been good the last time. This configuration has me needing 2 more cuts, but then again, I don't mind some combination of these 5. I can see myself cutting some of the discard because in the games like we just had, they're pretty bad draws going late, so maybe we shave on some of those. This is 60 right here, so now it's a matter of do I want to make room for some combination of Ashioks and Spellbombs. I do think that the first couple Spellbombs have a good amount of value because again, the Lurrus plan is a way that we could potentially get outvalued. And then I think the weakest card that we have here is between probably Brutality and Liliana of the Veil. I think Liliana is probably going to be pretty excellent on the play, but it may be a necessary evil considering Auriok Champion is going to be such a headache if they find it and we don't have a Plague Engineer. So I'm going to keep 2, I think, at least. It's a little difficult from here. A lot of our cards are just so good that it's completely possible that on the draw, Brutality is just a little bit too inefficient. It's got one really good mode in -2/-2, but then, even then there are a bunch of ways that they could protect their stuff. And then the drain mode doesn't seem like it's going to be super relevant. And then the taking instant or sorcery, we could take the tutor, but they could also just tutor beforehand. So I think it's going to be a bit too slow. We've got our 1 Bloodbraid, which is not what we're wanting to see. That said, I am going to keep Kolaghan's Command, probably one of the better cards in the matchup. We've got one way to interact on a single mana. We've got a really good threat at 2 mana, and we've got 2 lands to cast it all. So I don't think I can ever mulligan this, but I am definitely nervous and wishing this Bloodbraid was literally anything else. And then if nothing happens here, I will, I guess, shock the Stomping Ground and get the Spellbomb into play. Ren and 6 is an excellent draw. I guess if I draw Blackleaf Cliffs, I could potentially still pay 2 life total. But I guess that means that getting Stomping Ground down is just fine. So let's play the Spellbomb, say go. And then I guess just see what's up here. Oof, there is the Auriok Champion. So we've got Lilianas and Plague Engineers as ways to reasonably deal with those. Tarmogoyf does stonewall the Auriok Champion decently well. So I guess we're just going to do that. I'm not going to play the Ren and 6 getting no value. And unable to kill Auriok Champion given that Ren and 6 is red. We're already bigger than it, but maybe not for long. Mystic is something that we're worried about long term. They get a Shadow Spear. Interesting. Something in my throat. So they can pay 1 to just get this in now. It gives ++1 and trample and hexproof. Or takes off trample and hexproof. Gives a lifelink. Alright, so they can potentially put that on Auriok Champion, but we just need to add 1 thing to the yard to start outsizing it. Land would be a really big draw here. Untapped land specifically. That's the perfect one. Is there any reason to wait on this Kolaghan's Command? I don't believe so. I think I'm going to wait until they put mana into it as maybe a way to take from their turn. Alternatively, I could play second Tarmogoyf and hold up a Fatal Push. But I think to make things like Liliana better draws, I want to keep the board as empty as possible, which would lend to using mana to kill stuff now. Flooded Strand is interesting. I guess it's free. They just need things that get planes, so I guess it's completely fine. Yep, this will resolve. And this is another benefit to waiting on the Kolaghan's command, because they're going to be tutoring without the information that we intend on killing stuff. They get an Accordier's Shield. Interesting. So this is the pay 3 to give it vigilance. Yep. I still think I should kill Shadow Spear here. This does cost a lot to equip if it's not free. Alright, let's go for the Kolaghan's command. So we're gonna shatter a Shadow Spear and kill a Stoneforge. So shatter that, kill, I guess the one that's not summoning sick. So if they got anything to flash, then they have to do it now. They don't, cool. Blood Crypt. So we can curve into this Blood Braid here. But again, I think I really want to keep the board as empty as possible to make Liliana the best potential draw. If I play Blood Braid here and cascade into Liliana, it's not even that great for me. So I think what I'm going to do here is go Blood Crypt tapped, tap these two, and hold up the Peatland for the Blood Crypt. I could also shock this to hold up Spellbomb, but while they haven't put Lyris in their hand, I think the 2-life is maybe a little bit more relevant. There's also a reasonable argument to just start attacking, which with the intention to play second Tarmogoyf really isn't that crazy, and I think I'm going to start attempting to attack. They're not attacking for all that much at the moment. This is a pretty interesting block to me because this makes my Lilianas a lot better. So I don't think the opponent should have made that block here, and I'm happy that they have. You'll gain 1, sure. And then I'll play my Blood Crypt tapped. Again, I'm just going to hold up the Fatal Push here. And it's pretty well disguised because they came maybe thinking I'm just holding up the Spellbomb, and also this is the land that I'm least likely to tap anyway, given that I pay life. So this Fatal Push is looking more hidden than would be a Lightning Bolt, for example, which is kind of nice. We get to do a little bluffing for free. They got a Paradise Mantle. Interesting that they're just really not on a hammer plan. So they can pay 1 to equip, and equipped creature has tapped for mana. That seems acceptable. And I will be pushing this creature on end step, because I may want to untap into Bloodbraid if I don't just draw Liliana of the Veil. So Liliana would be best case, but again, I did board down 2 of those. So I guess we're playing Swamp and then playing Bloodbraid. We can keep the Nurturing Peatland, not paying life, and still holding up Spellbomb. 1 copy of Bloodbraid in the deck, please do well. Bolt, not super ideal. Bloodbraid can't really attack because they block it for free. That said, if they do find a way to put a hammer on the Auriok champion, I will be taking a pretty chunky hit, given that Bloodbraid also can't block. Yeah, pretty interesting that they just haven't gone for the hammer. I think that indicates one of 2 things. They either already have it or they're just off that plan. Memnite is something that can be killed by our Renin 6. They could pay a bunch of mana to equip a +0/+3 to it, but that doesn't seem like the best use of their turn. Yeah, they're just putting it on the Auriok champion, which makes some sense. It's got Vigilance now, so they can attack me for a hefty 1. And then I don't want the Memnite blocking, so I'm going to run in 6 first. Another Spellbomb is just a fine draw, not particularly important. Goyfs are gonna be still just 4/5s already creature and artifact in the yard. Let's attack for 8. And again, I'm still prepared to take a heavy hit from this thing equipped with a hammer, but not much I can do about that at the given moment in time. And I could just not play their Spellbomb. It can bluff some more expensive stuff, and also there just really isn't a reason to play it. There's a world where maybe I draw something that costs 2 off of Spellbomb, like a Terminate, and I want to cast it. And I almost still don't want to pop the Spellbomb. If we pop Spellbomb and target the opponent, we'll have only Artifact instant in the yard, which shrinks the Goyfs pretty significantly. So this does not pump it at all. It's still just 1/4. Really don't know what the opponent's hand could be if not for some hammers. Alright, and we win. Excellent. Alright, so let's go ahead and queue right back up. Alright. Play a match now. Keep on clicking my center mouse by accident, and it's like scrolling up and down really quickly. Alright, so we're now combined 19 and 2 with this list, which is pretty outstanding. So we are a total of 19 and 2 with the list, and we are currently 5 and 1 in this qualification. To qualify within the first 10, I need to be a combined 7 and 3 or better. So if we can go 2 and 2 in the next 4 matches, we will be qualified within 10, which will be pretty nice. And if we don't do that somehow, the next wave of qualification criteria is we need to be, I think, a 65% win rate within 20. Which would be 13 and 7. Still in the queue over here. Apologies if I'm talking too quickly. I don't actually know if what I'm saying makes sense because I'm talking so quickly. But like I said, I'm really trying to get a lot of content in tonight, so while I'm away, I can still have stuff posting. Still queued up over here. Nothing hit yet. Alright, there we go. We are creating the match for Snapstar 90. Alright, cool. Didn't even need the Bone Crushers last round. This hand is great. So Bone Crusher is looking pretty nice in this hand. We're lacking a removal spell with the exception of the Bone Crusher. So pretty nice that it's helping us draw the quote unquote like wrong half of the deck. We've got a threat fine hand, but we would otherwise have a pretty an interaction light hand, and luckily Bone Crusher may be able to fill in for that role. Inquisition or Thoughtseize, please. Unfortunately, no. We'll just pass. Amulet Titan, I think we're pretty disfavored as far as game 1 is concerned. But games 2 and 3, I expect to be slightly favored. It's weird that a lot of the multicolored lands have been glitching to only show a single color. Alright, well, let's get stomping around here. It may be important to kill something like an Azusa, but if the opponent if the opponent's plan is to play something like a Dryad here, I'm gonna really wish I had gotten the Ren and 6 down. But if they do play an Azusa, I can always Liliana Edict. But then maybe we don't have the Liliana Edict for the Titan. So I think all in all, it's really close here. If we're to expect an Azusa, I'm going to want to hold up a Stomp in case the opponent puts a trigger on the stack. But I think it's maybe just going to be higher upside to get the Ren and 6 going. And then hope to only have to face down one creature. Like, if the opponent goes Dryad and something else, then we could be in trouble because we can only Liliana Edict one of those things. So I think I am pretty firmly behind here. If they don't play something that makes me need to Edict, I'm going to play the Bone Crusher as a 4/3. Start maybe getting some pressure going. Alright, bouncing that is troublesome. Alright, so they're going to play this land and create a trigger, so I'm going to wish that I had kept the Bone Crusher up, but I don't really think there's a way to have played around that. And they are going to get to play a Titan with haste, if they do have the Titan, right? Because this is going to make 4 more mana. They can pump it all into Garenbrig to make 6, and then they can play Titan, and they can give Titan haste. So again, I could have held up the Stomp here to prevent this, but I would only be preventing it by a turn. So even then, I think we're still probably losing the game. This was a calculated risk. I did outline beforehand that I knew this was possible. But they'd have to have exactly a Zeus and a Titan, which isn't super unlikely. Yep, so they give haste, and then they can give it, I guess not double strike and trample. So we're gonna need to find, I think, probably a copy of Terminate here, and then really hope that the opponent doesn't have an additional copy of Titan. They already have the 4 mana in play to pay for Pact, and they're also just getting 2 more lands, right? So I believe what's going to happen here is the opponent may just set up for a second Titan with the Teleria West. Makes sense to me. This should definitely hit me here. I didn't actually check, but I think hitting me is probably correct. So Terminate would be best case here. Unfortunately, I don't think we're living through second Titan, especially when the opponent can already set up the Teleria West. Maybe they can't set up the Teleria West if we shock this, because then maybe they don't have a bunch of blue to actually transmute after bouncing. So we're not literally dead, but it's not looking super likely. Oof. Alright, so second Amulet I think means we're dead. They can do a lot with second Amulet. So now they get to... I guess they don't have any more land drops, so this is going to make what? 5 mana? Make them up to 5 mana. They can bounce Teleria West, transmute it. That puts them at 2 mana. They can't play second Titan immediately, but if they can find any way to give this double strike, we do just die because we're at 11. So yeah, calculated risk in not holding up Stomp in case they had exactly a Azusa is going to end up biting here. Oh, they just have Dryads. That makes it matter even less. Now when they attack, they get a bunch of Alaka triggers. So now we're just very, very dead. But yeah, even if I am holding up the stomp, I still don't think we're really winning that game. So I think the line that I took is still probably the most winning game and the most winning strategy. All right, so I think these are the ends. Brutality is interesting. It can kill things like Azusa and can maybe take Summoner's Pacts. That doesn't seem like a wide array of effectiveness. These run and 6s are not going to be super effective. They maybe could kill plants to clear away for stuff like Liliana, but that doesn't seem super relevant. I'll cut a top end for sure. I think I'm going to trim a Bolt, bringing in Push because it kills things like Dryad more easily. So I think I'm also, again, going to be cutting a land, which may be a mistake because this Ghost Quarter may be more of like a spell as opposed to a land. I think I'm cutting, again, just more top end. And maybe I shouldn't just cut... Maybe I really shouldn't be cutting the Ren and 6. It does kill some stuff. Not a lot, but it is one of the things that I may be wanting to combo with the Ghost Quarter that I'm bringing in. I need 2 more cuts from here. It's a little rough. I think all the cards that I've got right now have pretty fine reasons to stay. Maybe I should cut another Bolt, just because it doesn't kill a lot of what I'm worried about, which is Bolt. The only like real good target for Bolt is probably Azusa, but Push does that as well, assuming I can enable Revolt. I need 1 more cut. It's not going to be Bob. It's not Wildfire. It's not Goyf. It's not Terminate. It's not Ren and 6. I guess it could be Terminate. Terminate kills Titan, but if they're Titaning us, that's probably not a game we're winning anyway. Terminate is just like if a Fatal Push that we don't have to Revolt. K-Command hits Amulets. Ashiok is really great. Pillage is great. It might just be a Bone Crusher Giant. They don't really do a whole lot of killing my threats, so it's possible that I just need 1 or 2 to go the distance. Yeah, let's give that a shot. We did cut a good chunk of our threats, though, so I'm a little concerned. But like I said, they're not really killing a whole lot of our stuff. We've got the Ghost Quarter. We've got no red source, but we've got Goyf double push. I think I'm going to keep... If we are truly desperate, we could always Ghost Quarter ourselves to get red and then just intend on starting to loop it from there. That would be a pretty dire scenario. But I don't think it's going to come up. I would really just enjoy drawing a fetch land so we can just combo the Run and 6 for free. That would be the ideal scenario. This hand is kind of glass cannon-y, not gonna lie. So we're definitely gonna hope to just draw decently well. Amulet is scary. Fetch land, please. Not quite, but that's fine as well. I think what I'm going to do here is probably just deploy my Tarmoil Wave to get some semblance of pressure going. I don't think I'm going to start Ghost Quartering myself right now. So I guess let's get the Goyf going. Not super strong. This could definitely be incorrect. I could have played Ren and 6 here. Had I like tapped Overgrown Tomb for green, then Ghost Quartered myself, gotten basic Mountain, and then I could plus to get back Overgrown Tomb. Oh god. So the second Amulet is actually the way we could potentially die. If they have Bounce Land plus Azusa, they can get up to Titan mana this turn. That would be really, really nutty, and it would be kind of hard to feel bad if that's what happens. Because that would just be the actual factual nuts. Fetch land, please. Fetch land, please. That is good too. I would still actually just really enjoy playing the Ghost Quarter here, because if they have Bounce Land, that potentially represents 4 mana on its own. So what I think I might just do here is I can lead on Thoughtseize, and that can give me the information on whether or not I have the time to deploy the Ren and 6, or if I really have to hold up the Ghost Quarter. So they've got Rexage, Primetime, Dryad, Stirrings, and they've also got the Boros Garrison. So this is going to be really, really risky here. So if they play, they can play Boros Garrison, make 4 mana. They can then tap Breeding Pool, play Dryad. they can then they'll have they'll make 4 mana with this, so they'll have 2 in a combination of red and white floating. They can then play the Dryad, replay this, but I think that has them short on Titan mana, right? Because this says lands of every basic land type. So if they tap it for mana of some kind, if they tap it for a color of some kind, they're not actually making double, right? So they play Boros Garrison, make 4 mana. They have 2 mana in some combination of red and white. Plus the Valakut in play, that's 3 mana in some combination of red and white. But then, so they have the Dryad, they play Boros Garrison, but then they can still have the 2 lands in play, and they can only tap Boros Garrison once. So they do actually have Titan with haste and maybe double strike next turn. So the concern now is if I take the Primeval Titan, they're still gonna have access to the Dryad line. So I think what I can do here is I can just play the Ren 6 and get it going, but then I have to dodge a Titan off of the top, right? Any copy of Titan being just another copy of Primeval Titan or a Summoner's Pact. The alternate line is I take a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. They don't actually have double green yet. If they draw a green bounce land, I would die. Yeah, I think I'm taking Dryad because I can maybe decently keep them off of Titan if I can get the Ghost Quarters going. It's risky, but I think I'm taking Dryad. And then I'm going to go for the Ren 6. And then we're going to hope that they don't find a green bounce land, because that would be the thing that equates to them tightening here. They thought I was taking Titan. Yeah, I mean, I think if we don't have this Ghost Quarter, we're for sure taking the Titan. But the Dryad is, I think, the thing that worries me most in terms of making me unable to attack. I do have double Fatal Push, though, so this could 100% incorrect. In fact, it almost might be. We have Revolt off of Ghost Quarter. Alright, so casting Stirrings means that they can't Titan us here unless they've drawn the green bounce land and another Amulet somehow, because they could like play Amulet off of Valakut, then a single bounce land represents 6 mana. Another Blackleaf Cliffs. Alright, so I could just Ghost Quarter now, get back Ghost Quarter, but I think I need to hold up the Ghost Quarter for when they're attempting to produce a lot of mana. So let's just play Ghost Quarter, attack for 4 plus our Ren 6. In fact, let's just minus Ren 6. It's conceivable that we're gonna need to cross the finish line a turn or two early with damage, and we're not actually buying the Ghost Quarter back. We can't play another Ghost Quarter this turn, so I think minus here is probably fine. Alright, so they're creating a bunch of triggers. So if we Ghost Quarter the Boros Garrison, we're cutting them off a decent amount of mana here. Right? We take them off of 4 mana, but they still get a green source, and that still has them being short on putting mana into the castle. So I think this is when we want to shoot. They've already played land here, so they'd have to have Dryad into bounce land. We know they don't have that because they've already done a lot of stuff.
The thing you told me about before, it's not gonna leak. I can't put the tire back on to keep cooling them out. So
So Titan's at 4-5 now. If we draw a bolt, we can get across the finish line with the Ren and 6. Karn. Okay, Karn makes things a little interesting. We can always attack the Karn down. We got engineered explosives. Okay, that can obviously go on 2. We're gonna need an additional way to apply pressure. Bolt would be the win here. Liliana is interesting. So I think what we're gonna do here is probably buy back Ghost Quarter, play Liliana, attack. I think I've got to attack the Karn. So if I attack the opponent, that puts them down to 4. We can then ping them, but I do want to get the Ghost Quarter back. So that means we're not pinging them, which means I should probably just kill the Karn. We can Liliana first, so the opponent discards without the information of which line we're taking. This does have the potential of biting us if they've got Obstinate Bailoff, but that's just about the only thing that would really hurt us here. They discard their X Sage. They've got Titan and Explosives. All right, now let's buy back Ghost Quarter. Play Ghost Quarter, kill Karn. So we're missing pressure now. Assuming that they're gonna explosives. It's possible that they can't reach the mana to do it all, but that seems pretty rare. So this is just going to be for 2 here, right? All right, so they played Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. So if we Ghost Quarter the Valakut, that cuts them off of 2 mana. That seems worth it. I guess they still get to make 1, so it cuts them off of 1 mana for the turn. They'll still get to explosives and pop explosives, and then next turn they may just have Titan off of the castle. So we are in trouble. So yeah, maybe taking Titan was the correct move. We have plenty of good draws here. Meyer is not one of them. And then I think what I'm gonna do here, unfortunately, this Titan is gonna have haste, right? Yeah, so I think I've got to ditch a push, play the Meyer for Revolt. They're gonna get to kill the Liliana for basically free, unfortunately. So we're definitely behind. Yeah, I think I am officially regretting the decision. Because they're assuming they have actual any lands now, they're going to be able to cast their Titan, give it haste, and kill Liliana. And their deck is mostly lands. They discarded the lands. Like they've got to have it. And it's a colony garden. Interesting. Well, I mean, if they for some reason decide to go at us, maybe we can kill the plants, then still have the Liliana to Edict the Titan. But I think the opponent would have to make a pretty bizarre mistake to allow that to happen. So yep, I think this game was probably winnable. I took 2 risky lines in game 1 and in game 2. Again, I think the game 1 decision was kind of, you know, didn't really matter because I think we still probably lose that game anyway. But this game I think could have probably gone a little differently had I taken Titan. The opponent thought I was taking Titan as well. Yep. So I guess they get to actually set up second Titan here too, right? Double Amulet's gonna make that pretty simple. Interesting that they didn't elect to go to give the Titan haste, though. I guess they figure the second Titan next turn is going to be pretty difficult to beat. They might just have second Titan in their hand, which would make a lot of sense for this line. If they have second Titan anyway, then me taking Dryad seems like it would make sense. Alright, they are just going for the transmute. Alright, so I mean, we're going to get to Fatal Push this plant and then hopefully Edict the Titan, but they're still just going to have second Titan rolled up. That said, we do still have some draws that can get us out of this. Oh, they're just doing it now. Interesting. Maybe they're going to get Dryad? They are getting Dryad. Okay, that's going to make Edicting a little bit more difficult. I guess I'll push that one. Vesuva, copy, Galney Garden. That's rough. That's going to be really, really rough. Unfortunately, we're not playing Plague Engineer right now to sweep the plants. I'm still going to shoot this Dryad, but things are looking not excellent. It would be like only I think it would be only Plague Engineer that gets us out of this, but we don't have any plagues in the deck. They do have to pay for a pact, but Titan and double Amulet is going to be rough. We could draw Terminate. Terminate would be maybe something that gets us out of it, because we can get rid of the Titan, like, just directly. Ashiok is a turn too slow. I mean, they've got to kill the Liliana, or else we're going to ultimate them. So I guess that gives me another look. Is there any reason to activate this Ashiok? Don't think so. Yeah, I wish we had that Ashiok just a turn sooner. Opponent says nice draw. Yeah. I mean, I still think they're quite ahead as long as they don't do something really stupid. That they can still attack down the Liliana for exactly 6, killing it. Azusa not really affecting the equation a whole lot. They didn't attack? Uh-oh. Another Liliana. Wow. Alright, let's ultimate. Let's set it Titan. It could just be like Titan versus everything. Yeah, they misclicked, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Titan versus everything, I think. Like, you can keep the Titan. Yeah, they kept the Titan. How you feel about no permanence? I mean, I'm trying to qualify, so I'm gonna do it. So do we want to bring in the Plague Engineer? I don't think so. Like, it would defend us versus the plant plan, but at that point we're already so far behind. I mean, it would have been good there. So, I mean, maybe that's reason enough. On the draw, it's conceivable I should take out more copies of Bloodbraid Elf. Maybe I even want to bring Bone Crusher back in because I just need to be able to kill an Azusa while I'm on the draw. Just like do something like this. Just do that swap just so I can be a little lower to the ground. I mean, I can pause after this. I'm not actually like recording. I am recording, but I'm not streaming. Alright, so we've got the Ashiok. We've got literally every Planeswalker that's good. We don't have double black, though, so that is something of concern. I don't think I'm going to ship this ever, though. We've got the Ghost Quarter, we've got the Wrenn and 6 to try to loop it on top of the Ashiok. They've got Ghost Quarter on. They did Mulligan, which is something to note. I guess I'll go Ravine on one, unless I draw a fetch. I could play the Ghost Quarter as early as now to get them off of a bounce land, but I think that's probably a bit ambitious. Explore, okay. Another castle, okay. So bounce land means that they're getting to Titan next turn. If they've got Titan on top of the other, whatever it is they're finding here. So we want to find Black Source, ideally. Another Amulet. Jeez. So they need to have their last two cards be a bounce land and a copy of Titan, right? Black Source would be good. That would be good, but we know already that they're gonna have access to second copy. So I guess we're gonna get the Wrenn and 6 down. Could play the Goyf just to start pressuring them. I like the Planeswalker plan as well. Black Source next turn would be huge because I would love to get this Ashiok down. We do just die to some combination of cards. Unfortunately, I don't think with my current hand I'm able to stop dying from a certain configuration of cards. Bounce Land and Titan here would definitely be a way that we almost certainly lose on the spot. So we're going to hope they don't have that on their Mold to 6. They don't even have a land? That's interesting. We drew the fetch. Okay, so now we get to Ashiok. That's big game. Let's get Blood Crypt. Any reason to minus? I don't think so. I could take some of their fun ofs, but I mean, if they've got Beast Within, they've got Beast Within. The big drawback to having not played something like a Tarmogoyf last turn is if they play a Karn, I really don't have a good way to pressure it right now outside of just Kolaghan's commanding it and whatever they get. So hoping for no Karn would be one of the bigger disasters that could happen here. Dryad, also dangerous. I can Liliana to Edict that. They didn't have a land last turn. They've drawn Teleria West, okay. That produces 2 blue right now if they'd like it to. They've got 3 castles. To note, not that it would matter a whole lot, but the castles cannot feed mana into each other because you can only use them for activated abilities. Another Wrenn and 6 is fine. They could conceivably have Veil of Summer as their final card, which would be bad for me, but it's hard for me to play around it. Looks like they don't. Let's play our Ghost Quarter and just plus on nothing. I'll hold up the activation. Cool. Alright, so I have to help on the car real fast. I might edit out the downtime, might not, but it's only going to be like 3 or 4 minutes, I hope. So I'll be right back, and I'll re-queue in a sec. Alright, I'm back. Let's play a match. So a pretty unfortunate misclick from the opponent. But I mean, if I'm trying to qualify, I'd rather not do it in a lot of time, especially since I'm going home, you know. And I need to get this done hopefully before, because I don't actually know if I'm gonna have time to make some more content in time for the end of the qualification period, which I guess is until the 25th, and it's only the 7th, so I guess I do have time. We are joining from someone named Tarragon. Right there, play. Alright, so now we're combined. We probably should have lost that match, but on the scoreboard we are a lot in 2. I don't remember at this point. 20 and 2? Yeah, 20 and 2. They revealed Yorian. Okay. So Bone Crusher's looking pretty good in this hand because, like I said, we're not super dense on ways to interact right now. We also don't have a threat, but Bone Crusher is gonna hopefully act as each of those roles. Our hand is 4 lands and 4 spells. We have mulliganed once. Interesting. Might be a Death and Taxes variant, which this hand seems just fine against. 1 mana spell would be ideal here. Perfect. So if I get basic Swamp here, I won't be able to run in 6 on turn 2 if I draw it, but I have plenty of things to do. So let's just go ahead and Thoughtseize. Getting a basic here could be wrong versus what is probably a Path to Exile deck. So they've got Thalia, Giver, and a Push. I think I'm taking the Thalia here. It's just going to be the most annoying thing. I won't be able to stomp or terminate that on my turn 2. And I would love to keep the board empty into curving into a Liliana of the Veil, and Thalia really breaks up that plan. And it's completely conceivable that the opponent is playing some number of discard spells, given that they're playing black. So if it's between Bone Crusher and Terminate, I'm going to play the Bone Crusher so that way they don't also take the threat. That's the card we didn't know about. So now they can vial something in, but then we can terminate it and then have Liliana onto an empty board. Mountain, we're drawing lands, which is obviously not ideal. Let's just play the Mountain so I can do this relatively painlessly. I do plan on killing whatever it is that they put into play right here, and I'll even do it at the end step here just to prevent shenanigans. Maybe they're playing flicker effects that costs 1 or 2 like Ephemerate, who knows. Alright, so again, doing Stomp as opposed to Terminate, because if they do Inquisition or Thoughtseize me, I don't want them taking the Bone Crusher as well. So their hand is Marsh Flats, Fatal Push, and whatever it is they're drawing this turn. So we're going to get to cast Liliana here onto a mostly empty board, which should be pretty nice. Like, they could have drawn a 2-drop, which would definitely be unfortunate. It'd be really unfortunate if it's a Leonin Arbiter, but I can always just terminate in response, which means I won't be playing Liliana. But I'll at least not be getting Stone Rained here. So Overgrown Tomb, say yes, Liliana. And then we're going to hope to remove the Fatal Push from the opponent's hand before deploying our threat, because we don't want our threat just getting killed for basically free. I've got both of my basics that the Mire fetches in play, so Verdant Catacombs strictly better at this stage. I'll discard the Mire. And then hope that they don't violence something at 2, and they won't because their hand is only Fatal Push. And then I imagine this Vial is going to stay at 3 unless the opponent at some point plans on just shooting the Yorion into play at instant speed. But them having played the land is nice for us, because that means Liliana is going to get to eat their Fatal Push, and then hopefully Bone Crusher can go uncontested. So Bone Crusher has looked very good here. It killed one of their things, and it's ideally going to also be the thing that helps us close this game. I don't know what fetching here is for, other than to put Yorion into hand. I mean, if they want to discard the Yorion to the Liliana, I'm also pretty happy with that. And then having drawn Tarmogoyf is a really nice touch. I think I want to keep 4th land, but I also want to keep all the things that interact. So it's kind of close what I'm discarding here. I think it's actually just going to be Liliana of the Veil. Because I've already got one in play and I've got other ways to interact. And I think 4th land has a lot of value because we have things like Kroxa and Bloodbreed that we really want to hit at the top. So let's see what they discard here. If they discard the Fatal Push, I can just play the Tarmogoyf, and then I can hold up Terminate for whatever. And Goyf also just attacks for more. So we'll intend on getting Stomping Ground with this to cast the Terminate. So their hand is Yorion and whatever they're drawing. Yeah, and this Terminate, or really any interactive spell, I think is disguised pretty well, because Goyf is just bigger than Bone Crusher, so it would make sense that if we have an option between the two, that we would just want to go with the Tarmogoyf. So having played Tarmogoyf, it allows us to maybe double spell while also hiding our hand, or not giving any clues to our hand. And they kept Violet 3. So the nightmare scenario now would be we go for a Terminate on the Yorion, and then they do something like Flicker Wisp. And a way to potentially avoid this disaster would be to just untap, Edict them with the Liliana, and then see what happens. Cool. Up a game. We're playing against, looks like black and white taxes with Yorion. Okay. So I think I want the Engineer. We can name Elemental to make Flicker Wisp a lot worse. And also if they're playing the Auriok Champion, that's a way to deal with that as well. Kalidas seems like it's going to be excellent in terms of grinding the opponent out. I don't think we're really wanting Pillage, although if they're playing things like Stoneforge Mystic, Pillage as a way to destroy some of the opponent's Stoneforge package pieces, that could be nice. And also maybe we just hit a Vial to cut off some of the mana advantage. I think the only other super interesting card at this point is Fatal Push. I don't think Ashiok's going to do enough. This is going to stop the Stoneforge Mystic plan. But even then, they could just attack it down. So I think Push is a maybe, and these 4 are almost definite. I'm not going to cut Ren and 6. I could definitely see cutting Kroxa, given that with most of our threats being susceptible to Rest in Peace, cutting some of the more expensive cards that are susceptible to Rest in Peace may be beneficial to us, so we don't just get completely blown out by it. And then the discard spells I think also tend to be pretty horrid. Versus the mid-range matchups, because drawing them is going to be some of the worst that can actually happen to us. One of the worst things that can actually happen to us. And I think there's a good amount that's going to cost 4 or more that we want to take, even Yorion. So I think Thoughtseize is probably better than Inquisition in a matchup where the opponent isn't trying to threaten our life total super quickly. So I'm thinking that this is going to be how I go. And yeah, this hand seems perfectly acceptable. We've got 2 ways to kill stuff. We've got 2 threats, and we've got an interactive piece that's a little higher on the curve that we'll need lands for. I think the ideal find here would be something like Ren and 6 to help us hit our land drops and interact at the same time. They mulliganed again, which is kind of lucky for us. No Vial is definitely nice. And then I'm going to lead on the Verdant here. It's going to mean we don't get Revolt, but it's going to be pretty awkward if they play the Lean and Arbiter. We do have Fatal Pushes for the Lean and Arbiter, but I'd almost rather just use the Stomp instead of the Pushes, because Pushes are going to kill more going later into the game. So we'll plan on getting probably just Blood Crypt, then we can Shock and do something. Definitely want to get a Red Source, probably second black since we've got double interaction. Alright, so what I will do here is I'll just Shock the Blood Crypt. So that way we can actually just Fatal Push and then play a Goyf. So had I played Overgrown Tomb tapped to like maybe save some life, we would be forced to kill that and then not play a Tarmogoyf here. They could push it, they could path it. I'd obviously be happier if they path it. But either way, I like playing a Goyf onto an empty board as opposed to just playing something to contest their creatures. And then, obviously, we do need to find lands just in general to continue, or to start double spelling and continue to start pulling ahead. Them having no 2-drop and not shocking this is interesting, because maybe they don't have any 2s or 3s. That might indicate that their hand is heavy on interaction as opposed to threats. And we hit the land. Excellent. If I play land and plus, the opponent might discard something that grows the Goyf. But again, I think their hand is pretty heavy on interaction. So I'm going to attack first and see if they want to do something about it. And then if they don't, I think I'm still just going to play Forest, play Liliana to get a removal spell on board. As predicted. Excellent. Alright, and then again, I'm assuming their hand is lots of interaction. So Liliana plays best into that, assuming their interaction isn't something like a Celestial Purge. And at this point, I think I'm actually just pretty comfy discarding Pillage. It's the one card that I can't cast, and they don't have any Stone Forges apparently. They don't have an Aether Vial already. They got plenty of mana, so I think Pillage is probably just the most useless card at this stage. And then next turn I can cast Tarmogoyf and hold up a Fatal Push if I'm interested in double spelling. But again, I don't think they've got any threats, at least not at 2 or 3 mana, even 1 mana. So their threat might be something bigger at 4 or 5, like maybe Restoration Angel. Archon. Okay, Archon is annoying, but we've already got a Liliana in play to deal with that. Bolt is another way to answer it, but I think I'm just going to keep the Bolt in hand. I'll deploy a Tarmogoyf here as a decent source of pressure, and then just continue on my merry way. I think if my read is correct and their hand has mostly interactive stuff, I may have wanted to use my Lightning Bolt here so I could continue plussing the Liliana to empty their hand of interactive stuff, which would then maybe clear the way for my threats. I think I'd definitely go that route if I don't have access to Bonecrusher Giant and I only had one thing, because my one thing would be super important. But given that I've got a backup threat, I don't mind throwing the first one out there. Yorion to hand, that's acceptable. And my read, my ongoing read would be we're expecting to see either a path or a Fatal Push here. Let's attack. And then Bob is a pretty excellent draw step here. It's going to be just another threat. Again, the read is that they've got an interactive draw here. Looks like I'm correct again. Yep. Let's get, I guess, Basic Mountain. We do have a few red requirements here, and only one red source in play. So now, do I want to play the Bone Crusher because it attacks faster, or do I want to play the Dark Confidant to get some resource advantage? I still think we're not quite at the point in the game where we really need to power through a bunch of stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plus Liliana first and then play the Bob, and I'm going to ditch the Fatal Push. It kills things the least reliably, especially because the thing we may be worried about right now is a Yorion. Alright, so their hand is Yorion. Let's play the Bob, hold up the Bolt, and say go. And if they just tap out for Yorion, we get to Edict it and still have the Liliana and the Bob in play with holding up all of our ridiculous interactive spells. So this is looking like we're 95+% to win here. Yeah, again, Bone Crusher looking really impressive, enabling us to not even take higher risk lands. We're able to continue interacting low to the ground with the Stomp side, and we're able to really continue to apply the pressure, knowing that we have an additional threat if it doesn't work out. So Bone Crusher, even though I'm not playing it here, it's definitely enabling me to pull ahead by allowing me to play a little bit differently than I otherwise would without another threat. So even though this isn't looking like the most impressive Bone Crusher, it is doing a lot just knowing that I have access to it. Leonin Arbiter, that's perfectly acceptable. We can bolt that, plus the Liliana to eat the Orion, and then just go away, work out him with the Dark Confidant. Kolaghan's Command, an excellent hit. And a Bloodbraid, also an excellent hit. Let's for sure nuke this Yorion. And I think now it's a matter of what do I want to keep, Bone Crusher or Kolaghan's Command. I'm definitely casting Bloodbraid here. I think Bone Crusher probably still just better than Kolaghan's Command, but Kolaghan's Command can buy Bone Crusher back. So for that reason, let's choose the Bone Crusher, because again, we're just going to buy it right on back. Alright, let's start attacking for chunks at a time, as opposed to just 2. We hit Thoughtseize. Not going to cast that one. Definitely the worst case hit. I guess Fatal Push would have been just as bad. But yeah, at this point, I think we're firmly locked to win. Even if we flip like a 4, a 4, and a 4 off of the Bloodbraid, we'd have to hit exactly all 3 other 4s to die, and we kill them before that happens. So as long as we don't hit Bloodbraid, and Kalitas off of this, we're good to go. Alright, and it is still possible that the opponent has something like Restoration Angel. So if I do elect to plus the Liliana, I'm definitely going to be doing it before I attack, so I don't get blown out by it. Alright, the other side of that coin is maybe I want to attack, so that way if they do block, I'll have the Edict left to actually finish it off. Alright, but we are officially qualified, because we are 7-1 in the Manatraders qualification matches. It's the tradition to do 5 matches a league though, or sorry, 5 matches per video. So I'll do the next 2, but again, we are already qualified, which is really nice. We're a combined 21-2 with this list now. It says pairing successful. I didn't click it yet. Maybe I just refresh it. Yeah, there we go. Play a match. My deck is ready. Also, for the qualification league, to like earn the extra prizes before the actual Manatraders like event starts, like on a couple weeks from now, yeah, I think you need to have played at least 20 matches to like earn a spot on the leaderboard. So there's still merit to continue playing, assuming I hope that I do well, right? But yeah, gonna do 2 more matches because I would like to get 5 matches in per recording period. But yeah, we are record-wise we are currently 2nd place, which is nice. But again, we don't have we don't have access to the leaderboard yet, which is why there's 2 second places. Because we need to have played at least 20 matches, which is why everyone here has a lot of points. Did we get paired? Not yet. But yeah, a combined 21-2 with this list is for sure for sure in my 6-ish years of playing the hottest recorded run that I've ever had. We are paired. We are creating the match for Yashimoro. Sorry, I hit the mic there. Alright, we got him. We're on the draw. How unlucky. You rolled a 6 and they expertly also rolled a 6. Yeah, this hand is acceptable. We're just playing some good old-fashioned rock here. They've mulliganed to 6, which is pretty lucky. This hand may be towards the more painful side, so we're going to be careful. Turn 1 bird. Alright, so it could be really anything, but I guess we don't have to wonder for long. And Verdant Catacombs is a pretty excellent draw step. I think I'm just going to fetch Shock Blood Crypt now. Make my mana better, faster, and we can also just Fatal Push this bird off the face of the planet. Let's say yes. Cast a push. And I still definitely think it's correct to push here as opposed to Inquisition, because if the opponent has multiple things that cost 3 mana, we can't really keep them off of it unless we kill the bird. Oh, they played Overgrown Tomb. This makes me think that they are playing the Heliod, the Yawgmoth combo deck, which is, I think, a much worse matchup for us. The discard is going to be better the sooner that I play it, so I think what I'm going to do here is just go double discard, as opposed to playing a Bob or a Tarmogoyf. And it is. Okay, so we get to take Messenger, we get to take Chord, and then leave them with just lands, but I still think I still funnily think we may just be behind to this hand. Interesting that they even played the Forest here. I guess they played Forest on turn 1. Wall is annoying. So I think I for sure have to play the Dark Confidant here to try to get a means of interaction going. It doesn't punch through the wall, but at this stage neither does the Tarmogoyf. They have lots of mana and a redraw, so I do think I'm behind. Funny enough. Their average draw is going to be so much better than mine, because a lot of their creatures aren't great on their own, but they all recur, right? So I think I have played this matchup probably 3-ish times, and I think I've yet to win it. So this may be a healthy detriment to our overall 21-2 record. They got Blood Crypt. That's interesting to me. I have not seen Yawgmoth decks play red. So they've got 3 mana here. They've already used this wall. Yeah, they've got lots and lots of draws that I'm super afraid of. The biggest one being Yawgmoth or a way to find it. Them fetch shocking here may indicate that they've got an Eldritch Evolution, which would have them sacking a wall. They could immediately sack other wall to put a minus counter on here and draw a card, which would be pretty bad. We'd be facing a board of Yawgmoth and 2 new cards in hand versus our only Tarmogoyf. They did in fact draw. That's bad. So I imagine this is a Yawgmoth kill Bob here. Whoa, Falcon Wrath? Okay, this is not at all what I expected. So this is what gains sacrifice creature gains indestructible. If it's a human, put a counter on it. Okay, that is certainly interesting. Okay, we're gonna need to find some interaction here. Sacking a creature makes us indestructible. Stomp. We draw another 1-mana removal spell. Never lucky. Alright, so I guess we get to attack for 2 here. If they block, we get to stomp and kill it. They are blocking, okay. I mean, they are on empty, so I think I have to attempt to stomp this wall. Although, this was probably a mistake, because if I go to stomp this now, they sack the wall anyway, and then that means that we would get 2 damage in. So I definitely should have just gone for the stomp on this, because this would be dying anyway, presumably. I still think I'm going to stomp this, because I would rather this be dead. So stomp. This, they'll just sack the wall. So this was a small mistake. They'll sack the wall. I should have gotten in for 2 damage. Which could 100% matter. They're definitely threatening my life total pretty quickly at this point. I'm going to need to find a way to deal with this Falcon Wrath. It looks like I've got like 2-ish turns max to find it. And they found the land. This land could represent a Dryad Arbor, though, which would make sense with stuff like Falcon Wrath. So I think, assuming they've got Dryad Arbor in the deck, I'm probably dead since this was a creature. I would need to find like double removal spell to have a chance to fight that combo that combination. All right, I can lead on Dig with Peatland. We did find a Bolt. I guess we're attacking. And then if they don't have a Dryad Arbor in the deck, this is going to look really good. But if they do have a Dryad Arbor in the deck, which I'm really guessing they do, this isn't going to work. They've already got an instant in their yard. They've already got creatures, so I can just let this connect. And then I can, I guess, upkeep it. I don't know that it matters in any capacity. We're just gonna hope no Dryad Arbor. I mean, they might fetch end of turn here, and if they fetch, then that would give me a window to bolt. All right, so yeah, we're just really hoping they don't have it in their deck, but they have to have it. Yep, and it doesn't like tap it or anything, right? Nothing like that. Yeah, it's just indestructible 4/1 with flying. We're dead. All right, so that Dryad Arbor got us. This is really, really interesting. I've never seen that before out of Yawgmoth combo. Given that it is Yawgmoth combo, we definitely want the Spell Bombs. The Ashioks are a bit slow, unfortunately. Engineer seems like it's going to be good versus Falcon Wrath. We want Kalitas as well to stop the persisting. Collected Brutality can take their Chords, their Fatal Pushes, their Eldritch Evolutions, and it also just kills a decent amount of their stuff. Push is another way to interact with their creatures, so I probably want that. What does this have me taking out? They're a combo deck. I don't want to be tapping out a whole lot. Let's take out some more of the top end. I think I am probably keeping the Bobs. Should definitely keep the interactive stuff. The Inquisitions and Thoughtseizes look pretty bad going into the top deck war, which we're often going to get to, but it does seem like it's going to be pretty great early. And the Thoughtseizes take the actual factual Yawgmoth, so I think if I'm going to cut discard, which I think I do, I'm cutting Inquisitions first. This has me needing to cut 4. I think I'm going to cut another off of the top because, again, like if we get to the point where it's like just the mid range game, I'm gonna really wish that I keep my top end in. But I did bring in a Kalitas as some more top end. And then I really don't know what the other cuts should be. We need 3 though. Maybe it really is just more discard spells, and I have to play the reactive game as opposed to the proactive game. I could definitely see that being possible. Because like if we get into the top deck war, which I think we will, like we did that last game, and if they just draw their stuff off the top, there's not much I can do. And Thoughtseize is never competing with the top of their deck. Let's go first. This hand is acceptable. We don't have anything to do on 1, but we've got some of our more powerful stuff to do on 2. And then I'll lead on Dark Confidant here, unless they play something that I feel like I need to kill on 1, like a bird. And I'm also gonna have to be wary of Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer is gonna be problematic. Get the Bob going. Something that I didn't think of is maybe I should have brought an Ashiok. Oh, so maybe this is something different altogether. Yeah, Ashiok would have looked very, very good here. We revealed Kolaghan's Command. We also hit Liliana. I think this is probably the best possible time to just get the Liliana into play. We don't want the Sorcery Speed Answer being the thing that gets blown out by a Veil of Summer. So I would love to, I guess, get an additional red source. That would have me taking 3 going down to 14. I've got lots of additional pressure, so it's probably okay to get another red source here. But I also want to keep my life total high because I think Dark Confidant is going to do a lot of work this game. Let's just get a basic here. And then I'll have it be, I guess, basic Swamp. I don't have lots of green requirements. So yeah, maybe there's some kind of obviously Aristocrats, but maybe Collected Company deck. I definitely should have brought in the Ashioks. So yeah, I think Aristocrat's probably a much better matchup than Yawgmoth, but they may also just have Yawgmoth in the deck, which with the presence of Eldritch Evolution makes me think that they just do. The shell probably slots, the Yawgmoth combo probably slots pretty decently well just into this deck, so I would not at all be surprised to have to fight it at some point. Revealed Mountain, hit Liliana. Alright, so let's plus with Liliana such that the opponent discards before they have information that I'm casting Bloodbraid, and at this point I think I'm just going to discard the Tomb. We've got 4 lands now because we have the Mountain. I don't think they have anything to flash in, so let's play the Mountain, play the Bloodbraid. I could also just like play the Tarmogoyf and the Brutality, but I think I want to attack for more to combat the combo. Just really try to get them on the back foot so they have to play from behind. And again, I don't think they're flashing anything in, so I'm going to attack. Also, Veil of Summer is just a really efficient spell, so it's going to be kind of hard to cast the Brutality into it. Like they'd have to tap out for some reason in order for the Brutality to actually look at their hand. So I think just getting the Bloodbraid in and attacking now is probably just better than playing Goyf into Brutality. We don't have a whole lot of cheap interaction, so the Brutality may also want to be saved for attempting to kill a creature. I'm feeling decent about this game. We've got a lot of permanents in play to there, not a lot of permanents in play. But the combo aspect of their deck does have me worried. I think the combo route is the most likely way that I die, as opposed to just playing a mid-range attrition-y battle. So my decisions are going to be based on doing my best to not just die to some kind of combo. And the opponent having 4 mana and passing here can definitely be representative of a Collected Company, which we can maybe use the Brutality to flesh out. These were good draws, just more things to interact with at instant speed. Let's plus first. I guess I should probably actually keep the Liliana in play, because if they collect a company, I may want to use the Liliana to edict one of the things that they hit. So let's lead on the Brutality. We'll just have them reveal their hand. I guess with the Bob going, I may actually want to also just drain them as well. It might shave a turn off of the clock. In fact, it does with all the burn in hand. And our life total might matter with their various combo pieces. So let's 2-mode it. We'll look at their hand and drain them, cast it targeting you and you. We'll pay and then discard a card. Kolaghan's Command honestly looks to be the weakest card right now, but it interacts at instant speed, which other copy of Liliana doesn't. If they do have a company here, I'm gonna maybe want another Liliana to take care of something that might have protection. I don't know, maybe they have like a Mirren Crusader or something ridiculous. I don't know. So I definitely think it's between one of my 3-minute interactive pieces. I have lots of interactive pieces, so I'm just going to do the thing that, probably discard the thing that does it the least efficiently. And Liliana is just going to take care of a wider range of stuff. Like if they have a Yawgmoth or something, I don't have to 2-for-1 myself. I'm trying to kill it. So let's ditch the Kolaghan's Command and then hope they don't have a Veil of Summer. But if they have a Veil of Summer, that means they're not accompanying us, so Silver Lining. And it is a company, okay. So we're going to ideally be able to kill everything that they're putting into play here. We can stomp or bolt something and use the Liliana to clear out the other thing and continue attacking. Garrulous Messenger and Stringerroot Geist. These are definitely annoying things. Alright, so, I mean, we're going to get to exile both of these things, right? Because I'll Edict them. And then with the Persist on the stack, we'll bolt the next thing. And then with that Persist on the stack, we can pop the Spell Bomb. So, Edict target you. Alright, that's going to persist. Then we bolt this. Then that's going to, sorry, undie. And then with all of this still in the graveyard, we can pop the Spell Bomb to get it out of here pretty cleanly. All right, and then we are just going to continue attacking now. All right, and they do actually have the Yawgmoth in hand, so keeping this other Liliana as opposed to the Kolaghan's Command is looking pretty smart. They can Liliana Last Hope here and plus to kill my Dark Confidant. We could then attack the Liliana and ping it down. If we just draw a Bolt, we can kill them. And then something to note, they have already used a Dryad Arbor. So unless they have 2 in the deck or sideboarded in another, knowing that we have Edict effects, we are hoping to not have to deal with another instant speed, put a creature into play. Alright, they found the Geist, which is for sure annoying. They get to play that and Liliana Last Hope. But I mean, if they do that, we could also just Liliana Plus, and that could be a way to deal with the Yawgmoth, that again, they'll have the Liliana to minus and get it back. So 2-mana creature here was a pretty excellent draw step for the opponent. I'm really going to have to think hard about how I'm going to move forward. Alright, well, we might just Goyf here. That means that we don't have a way to deal with this Yawgmoth. Again, we could attack the Liliana. They'll just trade with the Strangleroot Geist, and we'd have to kill a 3/2. 2-mana creature was really backbreaking here. We also only have 1 green, which is something to think about. So what I could do here is stomp the Strangleroot Geist. It'll come back as a 3/2. We can then attack the Liliana. And then if they block, we can then go, I guess, kill something somehow. We can Liliana Plus to deal with the Yawgmoth, but they'll have the Liliana just to get it right on back. We could run in 6 to ping the first copy of Strangleroot Geist, so then at least when they block, they no longer have the Geist. But then they're still just going to have Yawgmoth in their hand undealt with. The alternative is I ping the Strangleroot Geist with the Renin 6. It comes back as a 3/2. I then stomp it and then attack the Liliana for 3, which has them still having Yawgmoth. But then maybe I can use the Liliana to Edict it on a future turn. It doesn't look great, but I think that's the best way that I have to deal with all of their permanents. If I just go Goyf here, I'm not really pulling ahead by any meaningful margin. So I'm going to stomp this when it comes back. Stomp. And then we can attack the Liliana for 3 so that its -2 can't be used. The alternative is we could just attack the opponent. But we don't have any more burn spells. We put the opponent to 3. Every time they activate this Yawgmoth, yeah, I think I'm just going at the opponent. This means that we can't just draw a Bolt to win, but this Liliana threatening a minus, it feels pretty bad for me. It's pretty close where I'm attacking here. But like if they draw like actual any lands in their deck, it could be really, really bad for us. If they like buy back a creature and go 2 creatures with the Yawgmoth, they can start using the Yawgmoth to get ahead. But like this route has the opponent only putting 1 creature into play, and then maybe we can just Liliana Edict it and just continue going to town. Did you draw a 1-mana creature? Oh my god, that's so bad for me. Jeez. That was really, really poor for me. 1-mana creature was the actual nuts. And an undying one, no less. Because I can't like ping this away and Liliana Edict the Yawgmoth away. They're just gonna have access to all of it whenever they want. That was really bad for me. Brutality, does that change anything? Brutality is at least interesting, was now I can ping the wolf, and then when it comes back as a 2/2, I can use the Brutality to finish it off, and then we're still facing down the board of just Yawgmoth, but Yawgmoth drawing is going to start drawing them cards, which is going to be really, really poor for me. Yeah, this wolf was they went best possible into best possible. Granted, any creature with persist that costs 2 or less would have been really good for them here. So they get to draw a card off of that, which is nauseating. We're gonna get to escalate this again. Like if I go Liliana minus here, they just sacrifice the wolf, which is not gonna go well for me. At least doing this means maybe I get to finish the Liliana. Also, draining them means that a bolt off the top could potentially save us. So we'll escalate it. We'll 2-mode it. -2/-2, drain 2. There's no way that I'm messing this up, right? Like, what if I just went Goyfin something? I can't Goyfin something. Alright, so choose a creature, this one. Drain you. Every time they activate this, they do lose a life, so it's not just free. And then we'll ditch... If I ditch the Liliana, I'd no longer have an answer to this Yawgmoth. But if I ditch a Tarmogoyf, I don't have a backup threat. It's pretty tricky. So like this Undying Wolf is going to be dying completely, but they can always just like minus the Liliana, which would kill the Liliana and get back Stranglergeist. If they do that, which I think would be the correct play, Liliana is no longer good. So I think I'm ditching the Liliana here begrudgingly, and just hoping that these Goyfs can overwhelm them sooner rather than later. And they've got to deal with the Goyf, because any Goyf connecting with them is just lethal. And this unfortunately does not trigger on abilities, it's only on actual spells. So if they target it with Yawgmoth, they get to continue going. So they've got a guaranteed creature this turn if they're willing to cash in the Liliana. Doing my best to beat double persist creatures off of the top with an active Yawgmoth, but it's going to be very difficult. They can also just draw something good, you know? They are proliferating. Okay, this is an interesting play from the opponent and something I hadn't thought about. Now they get to keep the Liliana, right? When they minus it, that is. They milled Eldritch Evolution and Geralf's Messenger? Jeez. Messenger also really good here. Granted, Messenger enters tapped at least, which would mean that maybe they have to put the Yawgmoth in front of the Tarmogoyf, which gets interesting. Ren and 6 can also ping them, putting them to 2, which means that they only have one more activation of Yawgmoth. So it's getting interesting, and perhaps I should have been more aggressive with the Ren and 6 going at the opponent's face. This is one of those games where I'm going to have to go back like after hours and really look at it and make sure I didn't really... There's got to be a way that I could have played this better. There just like has to be, you know? They return Stranglerootgeist. Okay, so that's the 2/1 with haste with Undying. So we would love to just draw a burn spell here. We've got Ren and 6 in play, so literally any burn spell goes to the face, even Brutality. I guess we've used both Brutalities already. So, Bolt. I guess we took Kolaghan's Command out, did we? Did we take one or two of them out? We didn't. Okay, so Kolaghan's Command does it. Bolt does it. Bone Crusher Giant does it. No attack. Come on, burn spell. Nope. I still think it's probably correct just to go at the opponent here. If I attack the opponent, they actually just have to block. So I think that's what I'm doing. They'll block with their persist creature, which will be annoying, but they can't really necessarily even attack it. This land is fine. I can get basic swamp and go threat. Obviously, burn spell would have been the most ideal. Attack you, you must block. I doubt they're ever blocking with Yawgmoth. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm making mistake after mistake here. I think now I should have done... I probably should have just pinged this. My mind was so set on getting the board clear, but if I ping this, they won't have a creature other than Yawgmoth if they draw like something like an Eldritch Evolution. So I think I'm making a bunch of micro mistakes that may begin stacking up. I still think I should probably just go at the opponent here to cut off the number of times they can redraw. I could have pinged the Liliana here, but I really don't think this Liliana is going to be better than the opponent just getting access to another card. So the worst case now, I believe, is Collected Company. Yeah, there's 100% a way that I should have played this differently. So I imagine there are some combinations of cards that actually just combo us and kill us here. If they don't find that combination, every single threat is lethal and they're going to have to do something about it. Yikes! That's probably going to spell the end unless they get horrifically unlucky. And we got to imagine they found that off of the top too, which is pretty annoying. They had Wolfgeist, okay. They are still in the position where they have to block actual everything. We could still just draw a burn spell, which would be the most ideal case. Also interesting to note that they don't have red mana. I guess they did have one period where they were able to get it, but that was all the way at the beginning of the game, and they maybe just didn't know that they weren't going to have access yet. So, I mean, they've gone through a Blood Crypt already. So if they draw a red spell, maybe that's the way we get a little lucky. You draw another 1 mana thing? Bird? Okay, that's not so bad. Alright, they have to block lots of stuff. Come on, burn spell. Ooh, that was good. Now their things won't undie when we attack, right? This is only a 2/2. Which, I mean, they could block with the Yawgmoth, so maybe we don't attack with the Bone Crusher, because then they have effectively a free block on it. They're paying the life now. Yeah, they want this to undie before the Spellbomb becomes active. So they're putting a minus counter on their Stringgeist to reset it, which makes sense. Alright, and then we get to kill 2 things by the Goyfs attacking here. The thing we have to worry about is they're going to be able to cash in the Liliana to get a creature back, and we really don't want to die to, like, hasty Stringgeists. I mean, they can't activate the Yawgmoth again without finding a way to gain life. And if they draw what's the word? The thing that, like, gains 1, loses 1. If they draw an Aristocrat, it goes active player, non-active player triggers, so whatever my things do would happen first, right? And I think I've got to attack. They've got to block with 2 things. I've got 1 thing to hold back. And also, paying life is the cost, so they can't actually get it going. Yeah, they just, like, actually have to block. And then I could pop Spellbomb here just as a way to attempt to find just a burn spell off of the top. But a burn spell does it off the top at any stage. So I think I'm going to continue holding Spellbomb in play in case they have some persist shenanigans trying to get going. This is a really, really close game. I definitely think there's somewhere in here where I should have played it better. What is this? You drew another company? Jeez. I think that's company off of the top back to back. They hit only a Yawgmoth. Okay, that might be the break that I needed. -2 on -2/-1 on the Goyf, yeah. Now even a Renin 6 goes face when we get there. And a land, okay. So they're gonna lose some number of undying creatures to persist here. And they hit a Goyf, which is interesting. Now our Bone Crusher can attack even through a Yawgmoth. Whoo! How are we feeling about that one? Now I don't even need to use the Spell Bomb. And they've conceded. Jeez. Alright, well, Ashiok is not going to be good versus Company, but it is going to be good versus Eldritch Evolution Chord. Jeez, that was a pretty absurd game, and I definitely feel like I got away with something. We need to cut 2 if we're trying to make room for Ashiok, which I think it's probably worth it. Again, it looks pretty weak versus Company, but it's gonna stop a lot of the Chord and the Chord and Eldritch Evolution shenanigans, and also if we Edict with Liliana, they can't like get a Dryad Arbor in instant speed because they can't search. So let's really try to get these Ashioks in. It's completely possible I should just cut Blood Braids altogether because they tend to be pretty slow, and I may need to keep up instant speed interaction, which is everything else in the deck. Definitely keeping the Kalitas because excellent versus the persist stuff. On the draw, it's possible I should just be cutting a Liliana. Liliana is one of the weaker things in the deck, especially versus all of the persist stuff. Or Undying. Let's do that. Ashiok also going to be worse on the draw, but I mean, I think that's just going to be good enough. We've got Spellbomb, we've got Double Goyf, we've got an Ashiok. I don't think I can mulligan this, but I am definitely worried about the opponent having some kind of quick start facilitated by 1 mana creatures. One mana creature. At least that one's a one-shotter. Plague Engineer, that's good. So if I play Swamp on 1, I don't have the ability to play Red Insects on 2. So I think that's enough of a reason to just play Forest on 1. I am definitely going to want to be playing my black sources though, because I want to probably go Goyf on 2, Ashiok on 3. Definitely want to play a Goyf on 2 because I want to be able to defend the Ashiok, right? Plague Engineer should do a pretty good job at defending us versus the Yawgmoth part of the combo, because when their Young Wolves and Stranglergeist enter, whichever I name, they'll immediately become a 0/0, so there won't be a window where they can sacrifice it to the Yawgmoth. Alright, so this is obviously Wolf, and then Stranglergeist I think is a spirit. Strangleroot. Spirit. We drew a push. I mean, the downside of having drawn push is that we can't with the downside of having played Forest as opposed to the Swamp is that now we can't push and use the Spell Bomb. But I think we're unlikely to want to be doing that anyway. So I still think the plan is probably play Swamp, play Goyf, which is a 0/1. I could alternatively just play the push targeting the Goose, because that can cut the opponent off of playing Company exactly on their next turn. But then I'm Ashiocking with their stuff, with attackers in play, and that doesn't seem good either. So I think my hope is that they just don't have a Company, and then I play Goyf to start defending Ashiok to turn off the evolutions and the chords. No Company, please. Please, no Company. They need a land for it too, but the land is pretty likely. Maybe not. What is this, just evolutioning now? They can't get anything that costs more than 3. I could have empty popped the Spell Bomb. In fact, maybe I just should have. But what do they get that costs 3? Messenger, okay. So we're not really defending the Goyf, defending all that well. We could just shock minus ourselves with the Ashiok, which would hopefully grow the Goyf to outsize the Messenger. And I think that might just be the line. The alternative is we Fatal Push something into play second Goyf. Call the Company no longer a concern because they're at 2 mana now. They didn't have a land. So the question becomes, how do I want to start pulling ahead? I think the best line... So them being so short on mana, I think though the way that I most easily lose this is they just have more copies of things like Eldritch Evolution. So what I think I want to do here is I probably want to use the Blood Crypt to get the Ashiok into play, and then on the following turn I can do a much better job of defending it. And I'm going to minus targeting myself because I'm going to try to grow the Tarmogoyf. If I don't mill a land, I can maybe just fetch as a way to guarantee putting a land into play. I can get, I guess, I would get the Blood Crypt. We have it in hand, which makes it a little bit sticky. I guess I would get Overgrown Tomb. I can't get Stomping Ground because I need double black. Yeah, I guess I do it and just get Overgrown Tomb here. Yeah, it was. If I don't mill a land and I mill a bunch of similar types, I think it's going to be pretty relevant. Trying to have lots of types in the yard. So Overgrown Tomb, say yes. Ashiok, mill, target myself. Try to grow my Goyf. Alright, it's a 3-4. That outsizes everything. And then now if I block, I think I'm going to pretty freely just pop the Spell Bomb to try to stop the Messenger recurring. This turns off all of their fetching, which is hopefully, if they find lands, what they find. If they send both things at the Ashiok, we get to munch on something. And they don't have it. Alright, I think we're in the territory of finally pulling ahead. So now what we can do is we can play another Tarmogoyf to really defend this Ashiok well. If they have like a Stranglergeist, they can maybe just send everyone. So I think I am going to deploy another Tarmogoyf. They're going to be able to create another food now. And then I think I am actually going to shock here because I can hold up Fatal Push and the Spellbomb activation. This may be a spot where I want to start attacking. Because, like, what am I waiting for, right? It's not getting much better. They could double block. I could blow out the double block. Our Ashiok doesn't have to be used yet. Yeah, let's get in. Which means I shouldn't have played the Goyf because they would have less information. But yeah, it's not getting much better. I do need to kill them at some point, and, like, what am I waiting for otherwise? And I'm aware of my clock. I don't think it's going to be super relevant. They're going to make a food. I could just push the Messenger. Sorry, the Gilded Goose so they can continue making mana and use it as mana. But I think I'm really going to need to keep this push for something a little bit more substantial. They found the land, so they can company now if they've got it. They're playing red, though. They've got the Falcon Wrath thing. The Plague Engineer is going to play pretty well into that. So what I think I want to do here is I'm going to sacrifice the Spell Bomb, targeting them with that Revolt. Oh, it doesn't work out the way I wanted to, right? Because it's just going to come back immediately. Because like if I sack the Spell Bomb and then I push the Messenger, the Messenger is going to come back before the activation goes off. So I think I've got to stomp this now. I just use the Bone Crusher to stomp it, and then maybe I just use this without being able to draw the card, which is unfortunate, but I think it's the best line that I've got access to. I don't have Revolt right now. So let's kill this. Pop Spellbomb for no value. It's effectively worth a card here by just making sure they're denied the card. And I have to do this now or else they would just sack it to their thing in response as an outlet. And this is going to kill the Ashiok, isn't it? We do have the Engineer as an answer, which is nice. We're officially ahead on board, but very scared of things like Collected Company. So I imagine this is going at and killing the Ashiok. We've already got Planeswalker in the yard, so that doesn't even really protect any of our stuff. Or, sorry, grow any of our stuff. What do we find? Another Spellbomb. Another Spellbomb is a fine hit. Sack a creature. If it was a human, put a counter on it. These are not humans, so we should just be good to go. We're going to name Vampire or Noble. I think it's more likely to have more vampires. So let's name Vampire. Right? Vampire. Kill that. And then we're going to attack, right? I could just Fatal Push the Wolf, which would really put the opponent on the back foot. And I think I actually like that. It makes us maybe susceptible to a Collected Company kill, like at instant speed. But this puts the opponent on a 2-turn clock, so they have to really have it. And even if they have it, they also have to draw the land. And I don't think they have it because they played Falconwrath or Aristocrat as opposed to anything else like a company. And I think a company would have been better than just a random Aristocrat, unless they were really prioritizing killing that Ashiok for whatever reason. But yeah, this play means that the opponent is on the defense unless they have some way to combo kill us as a way to pull ahead, or just, I guess, win on the spot. We won. Sick. Alright, so we are a combined 22-2 with one more Manatraders match to round out this recording. Play a match now. My deck is ready. So yeah, we are. We're paired, but yeah, we're doing pretty hot. We are paired versus Caustic, and we are joining the match. Caustek. We get to go first. That's nice. This hand is pretty glass cannon-y. It's only missing one thing, though, and that's a threat. There are lots of decks where this hand is going to be quite good, and there are also going to be lots of decks where this hand is going to be quite bad. So this is definitely a dice roll, but I think mulliganing to a worse 6 is going to be really, really sad. So given we got Thoughtseize on 1, I don't think I'm shipping, and I'm just going to hope that my hand lines up well. We need to find a threat. That is the really important missing element. Ooh, wow, it's mill. So we've got the way to kill a crab. We don't have a way to kill 2 crabs, though. We don't actually have to fetch ever. So we can maybe just avoid this archive trap altogether. Let's take a crab and then, I guess, kill another crab. If I find Bone Crusher next turn, I'm going to want to use that to stomp. And stomp doesn't kill Hedron crab, so we'll take Ruin crab. The mill is effectively a pseudo burn deck, so definitely gonna have to find a threat really, really quickly. There's an island, and they play a crab. Surprise, surprise. So there's the Hedron crab, and then we're definitely gonna push this. And interesting that they're not companioning Luris. I don't know what that might indicate. They're surgically extracting my Thoughtseize. I am completely okay with that. They'll see my hand, and there's one less card I have to worry about from them. And Thoughtseize is not something I wanted to draw anyway. So this is looking good for me. At least this particular turn. I do still need to find a threat very quickly. There it is. Awesome, awesome. I still think I should be killing the Hedron crab here. And I don't want to fetch because that could turn on the archive trap, which then turns on the Drown in the Lock. So I think the play here is both the Hedron crab, get down the Raging Ravine, and then next turn I can intend on playing the Tarmogoyf and Blackleaf Cliffs. And they can't counter the Tarmogoyf yet. We want to find a backup threat because the first thing that we play is pretty susceptible to just dying. Having Ravine as a backup is going to be nice, though. Draw a card, yep. Just a simple cantrip. So far we have drawn as much as I hoped. Obviously lands are not good, but even lands have a silver lining because maybe we don't have to turn on the opponent's archive trap, which turns on their Drown in the Lock. So it'll be interesting. They know about Kolaghan's Command and Bloodstained Mire. Draw a card, yep. We're happy that they're playing these now as opposed to later, right? Thirst. Okay, we have Kolaghan's Commands to buy that back. And we can also use the Kolaghan's command to have the opponent discard a card. Because they're a mill deck, they are a critical mass deck. We're either hitting an Archive Trap or Drown, or whatever their other card is. So this is looking like a good time to do it. I don't want them to like cast an instant speed spell and then like to put cards in my yard and then like counter this. So I think I should just probably do it now. We'll return Goyf, have them discard a card. Return a creature. You will discard. I don't want to get like mana leaked or something, which is probably soon to become Counterspell because Counterspell is getting printed into Modern if you haven't heard yet. They still have the Drown in the lock, which would still at this point counter the Tarmogoyf. I have the luxury of just not having to fetch, so I'm going to avoid fetching to keep their archive trap turned off. We don't know that they have another answer to Tarmogoyf, but they do know we're getting Tarmogoyf back. So we still really need to find an additional source of pressure, and we do have the Ravine in play, which just might be the thing that we need. Ooh, we hit Kroxa? That's good. Alright, so let's Kroxa first, so the opponent discards that information, and then we'll play Tarmogoyf. There's also just a Kroxa in my yard, so I didn't look to see if there was a Kroxa in the yard, so I definitely probably should have played the Kroxa from the yard there, but getting Goyf into play to get around discard spells if they're playing it, which is probably unlikely, is also probably good. The opponent is disconnected. Come on, I'm trying to speedrun. I'm already over 2 hours. And remember, I am to some extent trying to speedrun, so I am not going to be doing a prolonged deck tech. And again, I'm not streaming either, so like not having to go back and forth with the chat, I think, is also ideally quickening my pace of play. So at the end of the match, I'm pretty likely to just be like, okay, we obviously 4-1 5-0'd. This deck continues to be great. And I'm just gonna keep on chugging along with it until I have significant reason to change, which it doesn't really look like I will have significant reason to change because this list has been absolutely phenomenal. We're a combined 22-2, and it's looking like we might even improve more. They played a land, so they got one card remaining. We can cast Kroxa out of the yard. All right, and we're not super incentivized to attack with the Ravine here as long as Kroxa is the thing that we've got access to. Drown, sure. So now we get to just cast the Kroxa. Red, red, black, black. We'll keep a Goyf for Kolaghan's command reasons. We'll keep a Bone Crusher for Kolaghan's command reasons. We'll leave a land. And I guess we don't ever need this many instants. So this will have them to 14. And then I guess if we are going to fetch, we can just do it now because they no longer have Archive Trap in play. Let's do it. Like just to get this out of the way when we know we're not getting trapped. We might need the extra mana. Taking one card out of the deck, I think, is probably fine. Yeah, I think for reason of Kroxa and Tarmogoyf, Mill just has to be a fine matchup. I can't imagine it ever being bad. I don't think it's ever worse than probably around 50-50, though. Bolt might just tidy this up ahead of schedule. We're hitting for an effective 9 here. We can then escape Kroxa from the yard again, keeping the one that's untapped, and then they'll lose a trigger again, and then hopefully die. Ooh, they're gaining life to get rid of our other Kroxa, which is only 2. Sorry, 2 things. They'll gain a good chunk. So, I mean, Crypt Incursion would have been a reason to have attacked with the Ravine, which is interesting to note. But in the absence of something that gains them life, I think escaping second Kroxa is the thing that most quickly means that we just get to kill them. So if we bolt them here, that puts them to 14. We're attacking for 9 plus 4 is 13. That puts them to 1, which turns off all of their fetching. If they just draw a crab here, they're forced to chump anyway, so let's just throw the bolt upstairs. This means that if we draw a Ren and 6 or something, we could activate, we could cast it on top of activating the Ravine. And I'll keep the land in hand in case I want a Liliana N+ and preserve something. I can just discard the land. But I think we're picking up the W here. Cool. Begin sideboarding. We're playing against blue, black, mill. I think pillage is a maybe. They could be playing things like Mesmeric Orb. I may want to max on ways to kill crabs, but I already have lots of ways to do that. Brutality probably pretty excellent because it kills half of their crabs, and they're also kind of a burn deck where we care about taking instants and sorceries from their hand. And Brutality can definitely do that, or maybe get us in the couple extra points we need to win a turn ahead. They might be playing things like Shelldock Isle, which could be a reason to bring in Cleansing Wildfire. Definitely going to keep most of the things that deal with returning things from our yard. So I think definitely bringing in Brutalities and Push and Pillage are in our maybe pile. I think, given that Push is in the maybe pile, it's 100% better than Terminate. What does not companioning Luris indicate? Like, there's just no reason to not companion Luris and Mill, right? Unless you're playing something that costs 3 or more, obviously. But I don't know what that could be. Keeping Kolaghan's commands, keeping Liliana's. It's possible that Liliana is actually just the weakest thing in the deck. Like, it can kill a crab, but so can just about everything else. I think I like keeping the Pillage, because they could be playing Shelldock, and it's also just an additional out on top of Kolaghan's commands to a Mesmeric Orb. So, definitely bringing in this Fatal Push before the Terminate. We need 3 cuts, though. I think I'm going to keep my Bone Crushers, because those are threats that I don't have to play from the yard that get blown up by things like Surgical. It's actually pretty tough. Let's shave a Bloodbraid because they're like a burn deck. We might just not have time to get there. We need 2 more cuts. I could definitely see it being discard spells, but discard's going to be good to go after their again, quote unquote, burn spells. Let's remove... I guess Bob drawing cards could actually be problematic, but that seems fine. It still will just maybe find me interaction. It actually doesn't even attack past crabs. As weird as I actually do want to play the Bobs. I could just keep more cards in my deck because they are a mill deck, which would be actually kind of funny. But I don't think I want to go fewer on lands. Is there something that I'm going to take out before the Bob? I really don't think so, funny enough. I would love to play the Bobs here, but I think everything else is better. It's like the burn deck that Bob is actually good against. Oof. I think I gotta ship this. This just is missing too much. We're missing meaningful interaction, and we're missing a way to actually put a clock on the opponent. Right in 6 is nice, but I don't think this is going to be the winning formula, unfortunately. Maybe it's fine to keep this hand with the idea that the opponent is going to find the Croaks of Forest, but that's not even a guarantee. Oof. This is not much better. But I mean, we've got Push to kill a crab, and we've got a Glyph. So I think this is actually probably just to keep. And I'm going to bottom the Verdant because, again, I don't want to turn their Archive Traps on for free. We've got access to all of our colors otherwise. They've also mulliganed to 6, which is nice. Tapped, sure. Alright, so we'll go Blackleaf Cliffs on 1 unless we find Inquisition or Thoughtseize. Well, there's Inquisition. I was going to say I was going to hold up Push unless we draw Inquisition or Thoughtseize, but Inquisition, kind of the perfect draw here. So their hand is Visions, Drown, and a Crypt Incursion. Alright, well, I'm not super worried about Crypt Incursion right now. Visions is the cantrip, but Drown is the thing that actually kills the Termaglyph, so I think I'm going to take the Drown, even though they can't necessarily even kill it super soon. It is just the way that kills it, period, at some point. Yeah, I'll play Peatland, get the Termaglyph down. Inquisition is also a very good draw, but We don't have any reason to believe they've got a removal spell now, so this is probably a fine time to just get the Goyf into play and hope to continue to not have to face removal spells. Drown doesn't do it. Okay. It was the one card I didn't know about, so I mean, it's just real hard to play around it. I'm going to blow up my my peatland. Ravine. So, I mean, I'm going to play the Blackleaf Cliffs here, so all my lands come in untapped. The question is, do I want to hold the Inquisition to maybe pair with something later? I think I do. So I'll play Blackleaf Cliffs and just pass. That push off of the top was really unfortunate. Because now we need to find another threat, right? Well, they're finding land, so that much is good. I'm going to keep the peatland in play as opposed to sacrificing it now, because if I find another Goyf or just like a Renin 6, I'm going to need a green source untapped. Bolt. Not great. Alright, I will now, at the opponent's end step, sacrifice the peatland to try to dig for some kind of action. This draw-go game is not something I want to be playing with the opponent's deck here, but them throwing the cantrips out now before their like actual ancestral recalls is at least a little comforting, because I can't beat that card going into the late game. At least I'm not sure that I can. I think it's very unlikely. Them activating Field of Ruin may indicate that they have drawn an archive trap. They may be pausing after realizing that I could sacrifice in response to counter it. I still think I should sacrifice the peatland. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you gain a life. This card seems very bad versus me. I'm happy they've got it in their deck. As I lose to the card, right? Sacking this means that I don't necessarily have access to activating Ravine anytime soon as a source of pressure, but at this point I still think I want to find something a little bit more recursive. These were two quite good draws. The question now is, what do I want to get going first? The Liliana or the Renin 6? I do have a green source to get if they Field of Ruin me. I think the Liliana might just be better to pressure their hand. I could even lead on Inquisition first if they've got something like a Drown in the lock to potentially break this up. So, I mean, this was the reason. This was a reason to have held the Inquisition, which I did. They can Crypt Incursion me now to gain 3, right? Don't care about the one Goyf in the yard, and if this is able to take a counter, we can sneak a Planeswalker through. Should have floated green there. Because now I can't get back the Ravine and immediately play it if I choose to go the Renin 6 route. But that's it. I still think I'm probably going the Liliana route anyway. Just something to have thought about. I have not played a land yet, so I'll get my Forest. Which also lets me play Renin 6. They've got Crypt Incursion, Fatal Push. I guess I'm taking a Fatal Push, leaving them with double Crypt Incursion. Second one a lot worse than the first. So, do I actually want to play the Liliana here, or do I want to get the Renin 6 going? I think the Liliana probably just better. If I can empty their hand and keep their hand empty before finding and playing a threat, this could be a way to ensure that a creature gets to actually stick. But then what do I have myself discarding? I think I'm just going to get back the Ravine and play the Ravine. We get to keep up Bolt and Push in this way. So their hand is really unideal for them, very ideal for us, and it looks like we might be, not to jinx it, creeping up on another 5-0 with this list to be a combined 23-2. Alright, well, if we played the Liliana, that would have happened as well, because they could just kick it. So now, ooh, we don't care about this Profane Memento. We just really don't. So now the question now is, do I want to get the ravine going, or do I want to get the Liliana going? I mean, it's probably best just to get the Planeswalker going, start going at their hand, right? And then I think I'm just ditching the Pillage again. I really just don't care about their Profane Memento. It's completely possible I should just ditch the Bolt. Or I guess the Push would be the better ditch, because Bolt can go to face if we need it to. I do want the 5th land for Ravine activations. So I guess I'm just ditching the Push here and playing Swamp. If they find a Mesmeric Orb, that could be a way that I die, because I would mill for 5 every turn while attacking. So I think keeping the Pillage for now is probably fine. Let's ditch the Push, which is also the removal spell that they know about, if you remember from earlier in the game. So I think we're pulling ahead. I think we've been ahead, but we haven't had a way to actually secure this game until now. This video is going longer than I had hoped it would have. We're essentially at the exact same time that a normal video is. I mean, I'm assuming it would have been longer had I streamed it, but at this point I'm kind of just hoping that I would have, because we're not really gaining much time, you know. Crab, okay, we can bolt that. And then when we plus Liliana, they'll Crypt Incur in response. We could also just Liliana Edict that as a way to keep the Bolt as a future answer in case they draw another way to kill the Bloodchief's Thirst. And that actually seems good. So we'll just Edict with this. And then jam with the Ravine. Like, I really don't care about tagging their other Crypt Incursion with the Liliana. They'll just do it in response. And I do think I'm going to play the Forgotten Cave for my hand, because next turn I may want to attack with Ravine and keep the option of bolting at instant speed. Really, really don't know why they're not companioning Aluris. I haven't seen a reason to have not companioned it so far. There's a crab. We can Edict that as well to, again, continue holding up Bolt. But I think keeping Liliana around is probably something I'm interested in. And Goyf was just an absolutely excellent draw. We can just cast everything in our hand now and still plus. So, Bolt that. And then not that it mattered, but we can just kill the Profane Memento. I'm actually thinking about just killing the Watery Grave. That cuts them off of blue. That also just seems quite good. Yeah, let's just cut him off of blue. Didn't think that would be the thing that I do with this card, but sure. Get to keep the Liliana around, which makes the kind of soft lock with the Ravine, because they're never going to be able to touch the Ravine with an instant speed removal spell if they have no cards in hand. So now we're just racing the top of their deck. Got the soft lock with the Raging Ravine. So we're hitting for 10. We are one short of killing them next turn. But I mean, I don't know what they could possibly do to get back into this. There's already lands in the yard, so fetching doesn't grow the Goyf in any way. Put you to 1. And it looks like we're 5-0. Alright. So, We are now a combined 23-2 after adding another 5 wins to the roster. So, a very, very successful run with this list, and I'm going to continue to run it until I find a reason to change anything. Every single card in the deck has been phenomenal. I've liked the mix of spells to threats, and I think a huge part of that is Bone Crusher Giant acting as both. It does a real good job to make sure we don't draw the wrong half of the deck, and we've had pretty excellent results with it so far. Again, 23-2 so far, and the opponent, the Amulet Titan opponent, had an unfortunate misclick in Game 2, which definitely should have resulted in us losing Game 2 and that match. But again, while I'm trying to qualify, I'd rather do it in sooner time. So I apologize to the opponent, but it always feels bad. I've definitely had my fair share of misclicks that have cost me games and resulting in match losses. So always unfortunate. But again, I'm trying to qualify as quickly as possible because I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have to play over the next few days. So we're qualified, woohoo! 9-1 in this league and 23-2 overall. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Thanks all for watching on YouTube, and I will see y'all next time. Gem them out.